I hear the front door slam, and my heart drops like a stone. I am standing by the sink, hands in soapy water, and I see her in the doorway before I understand. My mother-in-law, Evelyn, walks in with that small smile that hides knives. She carries a grocery bag, but she does not set it down. Instead, she looks right at me and says, loud enough for Mark to hear from the office, "You two need to talk. Marriage isn't easy when one person makes mistakes." Her eyes flick to my wedding photo on the mantel like she is reading a verdict. My chest tightens. I ask, "What mistakes?" Her voice becomes syrupy. "Little things that add up. Secrets." Mark comes down the stairs then. He is wearing soft sweatpants, and he looks confused. Evelyn reaches into the bag and pulls out a small envelope. She holds it like a trophy. "Found this in your nightstand," she says, placing it on the table. My skin prickles. The tone is final. I feel anger and fear flip inside me like a coin. I step forward, but my legs feel like rubber. Evelyn leans in and whispers for Mark to hear, "You deserve the truth." I want to scream. Instead, I smile and say nothing. My throat is dry. I want to run to the bedroom, lock the door, and tear the house apart. But Evelyn already knows everything. Or so she thinks. I reach into my pocket, my fingers brush my phone. I had been nervous all week. I had been slowing down, recording odd noises at night, saving awkward texts. I had recorded Evelyn before, just because her tone made me uneasy. I had not planned to use it. But now, in the doorway with Mark watching, I press record. My hand trembles. Evelyn's smile grows wider. She thinks she wins. Mark flips open the envelope like a man opening a bill. A few photographs fall out, glossy and perfect. Photos taken from far away of me leaving the grocery store on Tuesday, hugging my friend Kara. Simple, ordinary moments. Evelyn watches Mark carefully. "They're friendly," I say. "We've known each other since college." Evelyn cocks her head. "So friendly you hide it?" she asks. The accusation hits me like cold water. Mark's face turns blank for a second, then softens toward Evelyn because he trusts his mother. I feel something cold in my chest. "Mercy, did you?" he begins. I cut him off with a steady voice I did not know I had. "Mark, those are nothing. They're photos." Evelyn steps closer and drops another paper on the table, a fake text conversation. Mark reads the words in a slow, puzzled way. The fake texts are edited to make me look like I told Mark I was thinking of leaving him. My stomach twists. I want to shove the papers off the table. Instead, I reach into my bag and say casually, "This is interesting." My phone is warm in my palm. I open the voice memo app and press play. I recorded a conversation last month, Evelyn whispering about getting me out of the marriage, saying things like, "She'll ruin him, and we'll make it seem like she's cheating." Her voice fills the room, clear and cold. Mark's eyes widen. Evelyn's face changes. She did not expect me to have proof. For a beat, no one speaks. Then Evelyn laughs, a short bark. She says, "You can't use that." But the sound she used in the recording matches her laugh now, and it betrays her. Mark drops into the chair like his legs forgot how to hold him. He stares at the phone screen where Evelyn denies everything, then listens as her own voice repeats the plan. His eyebrows pull together. "Evelyn, what is this?" he asks in a voice that wants to believe but cannot. Evelyn smiles fragilely, like a woman holding a cracked vase. "It's taken out of context," she says. "You should not trust manipulated things." My chest burns. I had rehearsed being calm, but my hands are still shaking. "I recorded you when you thought I was out of the room," I say. "You told Kara you were going to give us space by making me look bad." Mark looks at me, the hurt in his eyes making my stomach twist. "Why would you do that?" he asks. I hear the betrayal in his voice like a slap. The room seems smaller, the air thicker. Evelyn reaches for Mark's hand and says, "Mercy is dramatic. She records things to make a point. The sting of her belittling is sharp. I remember the nights I cried alone in our bed, wondering if I was overreacting. Now it is all in the open. I put the phone down slowly, like it is something fragile. I wanted proof, I say. I wanted to stop feeling crazy." Mark's hands curl. He looks at Evelyn, then at me, then back at the recording. "We need to talk," he says finally, and walks to the bedroom. Evelyn follows him, patting his arm as if soothing a child. I stand in the kitchen, The phone lying face up, the recording still vivid in my ears. I feel both victory and dread. The first wave of relief turns into fear. If Mark believes the recording, Evelyn might be exposed. If he doesn't, she will try harder. I realize she will not stop. That night I lie awake watching Mark sleep with his back to me, the phone pressed into the mattress like a secret talisman. The recording plays in my head on a loop. Evelyn's voice is patient and cold. I think about the envelope with the fake texts and photos. Who made them? I remember seeing those pictures in a hidden email once, labeled proof. Someone had been building a case for months. I close my eyes and see every small comment Evelyn made at dinner, each planted doubt. It hits me that this is not about one fight. It is a map of small poisons. I rub my temples. I love Mark with a steady ache. I can't let this be the wedge. I decide not to confront Evelyn again, not yet. I will gather more. The next morning, I am up early. I pretend to wash the dishes, but I am actually reading the fake texts again and comparing them to our real messages. The differences are sloppy but convincing. Someone used screenshots of older chats and altered them. My throat tightens. I call Karen, my friend who works at a print shop. I ask, casually, if she can run a trace on where the paper came from. I don't tell her Evelyn's name. Karen says she might be able to check the printing batch. It feels like a small step. Later, I plant a recorder in the living room where Evelyn likes to sit. My hands tremble as I tuck it behind a photo. I tell myself I am doing it for truth, not revenge. But the recorder feels heavy with intent. I spy the calendar on the fridge. Evelyn has a weekly tea with friends every Thursday in the afternoon. I plan to be home. Tonight, after making dinner, I overhear a phone call through the walls. I press my ear to the plaster and hear Evelyn's voice, soft but sharp, saying, "Make sure he believes it's real. It has to be perfect." The walls feel thin suddenly, and I realize I am not the only one who sees. Thursday arrives slow and heavy. I stay awake with the tiny recorder tucked like a secret under the couch cushion. Mark leaves for work, giving me a kiss that says he is exhausted. Evelyn arrives shortly after with muffins and invitations to tea. She moves around like a queen arranging subjects. She speaks about the town, about flowers, about harmless things. But her hands move fast, and her eyes flick toward the mantel where our pictures stand. She takes a cup and sits in her usual chair. I am in the kitchen, pretending to wash a pan, but really listening. The recorder hums quietly in my pocket. For an hour, Evelyn pries with casual questions. Does Mark tell you everything? Do you have friends he hasn't met? She mentions little lies she imagines. Then the conversation shifts. Evelyn starts talking to a woman on her phone, whispering. He has to think it's true, she says. Send a few messages from a burner. Make it look messy. My pulse jumps. I step closer to the doorway and see Emily, one of Evelyn's friends, slide into the room carrying a small envelope and a phone. She looks nervous. Evelyn's plan is smoother now. There are accomplices. I move like a shadow into the hallway, my recorder still on. Emily speaks in a low voice about forging texts and planting photos at a thrift store overnight. They laugh, a sound that curdles my blood. I feel small and furious. I had thought the enemy was one person. Now it is a quiet network. I think of Mark and how much he trusts family. I think of all the moments that will be twisted. I press the record button harder. That night I played back the recorder in my car, hunched over the steering wheel in the supermarket lot. Evelyn's voice is at the center of the plot. Emily's voice trembles as she agrees to create fake messages from me. There is even a plan to plant an anonymous letter in Mark's work locker. My hands shake so badly I almost drop the phone. I think about confronting Emily, but I know it would alert Evelyn. I need proof that will stand up. I drive to Kara's house because she knows Evelyn from college and may recognize her speech patterns. Kara listens to the clip with her forehead creased. She always used those phrases. Kara says quietly, Evelyn liked to be in control. She thinks people are clay she can shape. We plan to go over the digital traces. Kara works in IT and says she can try to find the origin of the fake screenshots. Meanwhile, I make another decision. I will play a role. If Evelyn believes I'm the one who's insecure or dishonest, she will push harder. So I start acting differently around Mark. More fragile, quieter. He worries. He holds me closer. I feel sick wearing the act, but I need time. Over the next week, I let Evelyn seed a few small doubts. I turn away when Mark asks what's wrong. I cry in the bathroom. I let her think she is winning while Kara digs into the background. One afternoon, Kara calls me and says she found something shocking, a throwaway email link to Evelyn's friend group. It was used to send the fake text a month ago. We both whisper, now we have a name. I feel the world tilt toward justice, but I also know this is only the beginning. We set a trap. Kara maps out the tech path. She tells me how to make the fake messages look real, and then how to trace them back. We arrange to let one small fake message reach Mark, baiting Evelyn into overplaying her hand. I hate deceit, but I am careful. I write a short text, innocent enough to be believable, and leave it unsent in my drafts where Evelyn's eyes might find it later. I planted another recorder near Mark's locker at work. The plan is fragile and tight like a violin string. The night before, I had another recorder in the guest room where Evelyn sometimes naps. I sleep badly, thinking of how far we have to go. The next morning, Evelyn visits with a cake. She brings up the draft text I left in plain sight on the counter. Her fingers hover over the phone as if tasting it. I watch her like a hawk. She smiles at Mark, then slips the phone into her bag. My stomach flops. At lunch, Mark receives the small fake message I had allowed to be seen about needing a break. It reads like a text from me, but is ambiguous. He looks up at Evelyn, then directly at me. My heart is a drum. Evelyn makes a face just for me and mouths, finally. Mark's voice is low. Mercy, why would you? I put my hands up, small and helpless. I was messing with my phone, I say, voice trembling as planned. Evelyn's smirk darkens. She leans in and says to Mark, she's unstable. I feel bile rise. The bait is set. Now we watch how she takes it. Mark begins to distance himself. He is gentle but cold, like a warm hand that doesn't touch very long. I act small and guilty, so he will not suspect the bigger plan. At the same time, Kara sends me proof of the throwaway email. It was traced to a cafe computer where Evelyn's friend group had met. The timestamp matches the day the fake text started. I print it and tuck it into my bag. But I cannot storm in with evidence and demand he believe me. He needs to see the pattern himself. Evelyn invites us to her house for Sunday lunch and insists I come early to help. My stomach knots, but I go, recorder hidden in my apron pocket. At lunch, Evelyn pours wine and steers conversation toward bland topics. Then she slides rumors like salt into soup, small jabs about my past, comments about how I play games. Mark listens and nods, the gap between us growing wider. I keep my calm, answering politely, letting the recorder capture every poisoned syllable. After the meal, she suggests we look at old photo albums to remember better times. She hands Mark an album where she has marked a page, writing, remember when? Next to it, she has left a printed fake email implying I sent a breakup message. Mark's face collapses. Evelyn squeezes his hand like a prize winner. I feel the air leave me, but I also feel a strange steadiness. I have proof now. The email trace, the recordings, and the timeline. The question is how to bring it all out so Mark sees the truth and not just the mess Evelyn made. That evening I spread the evidence carefully on the kitchen table. The printed trace sits beside the recording from the guest room and the clips from the living room. I put the fake texts next to the real messages, showing the differences in timestamps and fonts. My hands do not shake now. I am tired, but the edge is steady. I call Mark into the kitchen. He comes slowly, like a man walking into a rumor. I speak plainly and short, because long speeches can be drowned by doubt. I have proof Evelyn and her friends made fake texts and photos, I say. Mark's jaw tightens. He asks to listen to the recordings first. We play the clip from the living room where Evelyn talks about making him believe I'm cheating. His face pales. He wants to speak to Evelyn right away. I warn him. She'll deny it. She is good at words. He nods, then calls Evelyn, asking her to come over. Her return is quick. She walks in smiling, clutching a muffin tin like an alibi. Mark stands in the doorway, a stack of papers in his hand. He tells Evelyn calmly that he heard a recording. Her face goes white for a microsecond. She counters with fury and says, "That's manipulated. You can edit audio." I hand Mark another file, this time, the cafe timestamp Kara found. His eyes move from the paper to Evelyn and back. I watch the battle in his face, the push between family loyalty and reason. Evelyn begins to cry, a dramatic, choking sound. Mark hesitates. For a moment, I fear we will lose everything. Then a new voice enters. My neighbor, Mrs. Alvarez, knocks on the door. She says she saw Evelyn and Emily near the cafe the week before, acting secretive. She tells the story simply and honestly. Her words match Kara's digital trace. Evelyn tries to laugh it off, but her hands tremble. Mark asks Evelyn to explain the cafe visit. She stammers, then claims she was there for a book club. Emily blurts out, "We were setting up a surprise for him." The lie is thin. I play another recording, the one in the guest room where Emily admits to forging messages. The truth lands like a heavy stone. Mark looks at Evelyn, and I see the last thread of doubt fray. Evelyn's lips quake. She has no answer that fits all the facts. "Why would you do this?" Mark asks. Evelyn will not meet his eyes. She says something about protecting him. Mark's face crumples in a new way, betrayal by his mother, but also by the family he thought he trusted. He storms out of the house to clear his head. I hear the front door slam, and then the car starts. I feel both victory and fear. I have hurt him by dragging his family into the light. He returns an hour later, quieter. He sits across from me, reaches for my hand, and says, "I don't want to lose my mom, but I don't want this life built on lies." His voice breaks. I squeeze his hand. We talk for hours, slow and raw. He decides to take a break from seeing Evelyn alone. Evelyn texts him a string of pleas and apologies that look rehearsed. The next morning she calls with a new threat, this time not to Mark but to my employer. She says she will reveal that I am unstable. The stakes grow. I realize Evelyn will escalate to try to win back control. Evelyn starts a whisper campaign at my workplace. I hear from Hannah at HR that someone left anonymous notes and an email suggesting I am unreliable. The HR person asks gentle questions. I feel sick reading the messages. I print them and add them to the folder with everything else. Mark and I sit up late making plans, how to present the evidence to HR and to his family without breaking him more. He is hesitant to confront his mother publicly, but he promises to support me at work. The next day, I meet with HR and share the printed evidence, recordings, and timestamp findings. Hannah listens and takes notes with a sympathetic face. She says they will investigate the anonymous emails. Meanwhile, Evelyn doubles down in private, meeting with Mark's sister, Lois, and telling a new story that I am trying to control Mark. Lois calls Mark worried. He answers with a steadiness I admire. He tells his sister he will look into it. Evelyn grows frantic and, in a slip, mentions a private detail about Mark's childhood that only a few knew. That slip gives us one more thread. I show Mark screenshots of Evelyn's messages where she reveals private facts to manipulate him. The pattern is clear. She has been pulling at threads of our life to unravel it. We realize she may have done this before with other partners. The thought chills me. I want to warn the others, but first we need to secure our position. We decide to ask Mark's father, Henry, to mediate. He is gentle and fair. When we bring the evidence to him, he looks sick. He says little at first, then asks Evelyn to explain herself. She cannot. Henry's disappointment is a quiet thing that hurts her more than any shout. The family fissures. Evelyn's control slips for the first time. Evelyn is not defeated yet. She turns to a final play she thinks will destroy me fast, a staged confrontation at a family gathering where she intends to produce new proof. She calls for a Sunday barbecue, inviting everyone. I know this is dangerous. If she plans something public, the humiliation could be permanent. Mark and I decided to prepare. We arranged for Kara to be there with a camera, disguised as a guest, and for Mrs. Alvarez to sit near Evelyn. We want witnesses. I tell Mark to be calm, to sit with his father instead of his mother. The barbecue day is hot and thick. People laugh, children play, and Evelyn moves like a coiled animal. Midway through dessert, she stands and announces she has something to show, something that will prove everything. She pulls out a sealed envelope and shakes it like a bell. The crowd leans in. Evelyn's voice is loud and triumphant. I found messages, she says. I found proof. She slides a printout toward Mark. The room goes quiet. I feel my heart racing. But then Kara steps forward and plays a short clip of Evelyn rehearsing the plan with Emily in the cafe, more damning words than we had before. The audio is clear. People look stunned. Evelyn's face flushes with fury. She accuses us of setting her up. The family splits with murmurs and shocked glances. Then a twist. A young woman named Claire approaches the group. She is quiet and holds a small stack of letters. Claire says she used to be in a relationship years ago with a man Evelyn tried to influence. She tells a story of how Evelyn pushed her away. Her voice trembles. The room grows colder. The barbecue becomes a tribunal. Evelyn looks around, suddenly small. The group's gossip spreads fast. Old memories surface, stories from neighbors about breakups that started with a whispered rumor. Henry looks at Evelyn with eyes full of regret. Mark takes my hand and squeezes it like a lifeline. Evelyn's empire is collapsing piece by piece. But then Evelyn makes a desperate move. She storms into the house and returns with a lawyer's card, claiming she will sue for slander. The family is stunned. Henry looks bewildered. Is litigation necessary? He asks. Evelyn says yes, and that she will ruin me for good this time. I feel cold. A lawsuit would drag us through months of public accusations. Mark panics at the idea. He fears the cost, the shame, the strain. I stand up and speak in a quiet voice. I tell the assembled family that I would prefer a private conversation with Evelyn, mediated by Henry. I say I do not want to destroy anyone with court. The room hums. Evelyn smiles like a cornered animal, promising revenge if crossed. That night, we prepared for mediation. We gather everything, recordings, timestamps, witnesses, to present to Henry. I watch as Mark's trust wavers but does not break. The mediation day is thick with tension. Evelyn arrives with a new calm, like someone rehearsed a better act. Henry opens the folder and looks through the evidence, slowly. For a moment, I think he will ask for a quiet settlement. Then he looks at Evelyn and says, "This is not the woman I married after months of letters and manipulation. This is deliberately built in harm." Evelyn's face tightens. She finally speaks a truth I did not expect. "I did what I thought was right." It is a line that counts as confession and denial at once. After mediation, Henry suggests a break. Evelyn should move into a small apartment for a while to cool tempers and avoid further manipulation. She refuses and claims she would be homeless without their help. The family argues, voices sharp, then falls into uneasy quiet. Evelyn calls her friends frantic, and they rally to her with sympathy. Meanwhile, Mark and I breathe for the first time in weeks. We plan to use the breathing room to fortify ourselves legally and emotionally. We consult an attorney named Paula who advises us on restraining tactics and proof preservation. She suggests we document everything and also warns that Evelyn might escalate off record. We take her advice seriously. We set up a legal notice to stop anonymous emails and to warn against any more forged messages. Evelyn, furious, begins a new chapter of retaliation that is more subtle. She posts hints on social media about unstable women, and she calls Mark's workplace pretending to be concerned for his career. Each move is a small blade. We file complaints and wait. The family tries to remain neutral publicly, but inside, people pick sides. Some rally to Evelyn, believing her story about being misunderstood. Others begin to avoid her, ashamed. The house where I eat dinner becomes a map of pauses, empty silences where laughter used to be. Mark and I find ourselves rebuilding trust like two people steadying a bridge. We hold daily meetings where we are honest about fears. It helps. One morning, we receive a surprising voicemail from Emily. Her voice is shaky as she confesses that she had been paid a small amount to help craft the fakes. She says she regrets it. This admission gives us new leverage and a new twist. Emily's confession opens a line we did not expect. She agrees to talk to the attorney and sign a statement about Evelyn's plan. In return, Paula advises Emily on limited immunity. We know this risks anger, but we need witnesses. The statement is short and clear. Evelyn wanted to create evidence to make it seem like I was unfaithful. This document adds weight to the recordings. We bring it to Henry and Lois. Some family members finally admit they were misled. The weight of regret is heavy in the room. Evelyn reacts like someone with one last card. She claims to have been worried about Mark's choices, about his career, about our future. Her words want sympathy, but people see the pattern. The community begins to take sides publicly. Local gossip is a living thing and it can be cruel, but now it turns toward Evelyn, not me. She becomes more isolated. She posts a long apology on social media that reads like a confession and a plea. Mark sees it and feels anger and sorrow. We decided to help reconnect her to therapy resources instead of forcing her out. We want accountability, not vengeance. Evelyn refuses at first, then angrily accepts after a scene where she claims she is being bullied. The therapist's office becomes a new stage. Evelyn's sessions are rocky. She denies wrongdoing sometimes, cries often. The therapist suggests family therapy. Mark, cautious, agrees to attend one session. I enter the room with my guard up. The therapist asks Evelyn why she wanted to destroy our marriage. Evelyn says, "I felt left behind." Her voice cracks. The room fills with a new understanding. Her fear of losing her son had become a weapon. I feel pity and anger in equal measure. Family therapy is messy and raw. Evelyn tells stories of loneliness after Henry's repetitive work trips years ago, of how she hung on to influence as a way to stay connected. Mark speaks about how smothered he felt as a child, and how he had always sought independence. I talk about the betrayal and the nightly panic I felt. The therapist guides us through rules. No accusations without evidence. Speak from feelings, not from attacks. It helps, but the trust is fragile. After a particularly hard session, Evelyn storms out and posts a passive-aggressive note on social media that hints at deeper secrets she threatens to reveal. Our stomachs turn. We consulted Paula again. The lawyer says to prepare for anything. We set up more documented proof and stronger privacy settings. I feel worn, but also more careful. Then comes a twist neither of us predicted. Mark discovers an old journal his mother kept long ago. It includes entries where she described trying to control people she loved, an admission about a former friend she had convinced to break up with a partner. It reads like a pattern. Henry, grief-stricken, reads it and cannot deny what he sees. He finally stands up to Evelyn with real force. The family's shield around her cracks further. Evelyn's network of friends starts to unravel as more clients and acquaintances avoid her. She grows angrier and begins to make public posts that imply I am the villain. The posts get reported and, slowly, taken down. The community begins to watch closely. We breathe again, but we know the storm could return. While Evelyn struggles, a new opportunity presents itself. The local paper picks up the story because neighbors are talking. They want a fair take, but it could expose everything. I am terrified of public exposure. Mark and I meet with a reporter, a calm woman who asks for details and promises fairness. We provide selective evidence and ask for protection of private details. The article focuses on manipulation and the importance of evidence. It paints Evelyn as a cautionary tale without naming me more than necessary. The piece goes live and reactions pour in, some supportive, some judgmental, but mostly curious. Evelyn posts a furious, disjointed response that only makes her look worse. Public pressure grows for her to apologize and seek help. She finally agrees to do a recorded apology for the paper, but we know she might craft the message to look better. So we suggest a mediated video where Henry is present to ask questions. The interview is tense. Evelyn admits she tried to influence Mark's relationships, but claims she only wanted what she thought was best. The video shows a woman pleading, no longer cunning but afraid. It is messy but real. The community responds with a mixture of compassion and sternness. Evelyn's friends begin to step back publicly. Mark and I receive messages from people saying they admired our patience. The worst part is not over. Evelyn posts private family photos with captions meant to shame me. We report the posts and they are removed. The digital battle is tiring. One night, Evelyn barges into our house and accuses me of using emotional tricks on Mark. She slams a hand on the table and threatens to expose me at his workplace again. I call Paula, who warns me to document the incident and suggests a temporary restraining notice if Evelyn continues. I hate the idea of escalating further into legal territory, but I also will not be bullied. Mark stands up to his mother in a way that was hard for him. He tells her we will go to court if she continues these attacks. She storms out, but not before muttering threats. The next morning, we find a smear of a cruel note under our front door. written in a handwriting that tries to mimic mine. Lois sees it and gasps. She begins to finally understand the depth of the manipulation. Evelyn, seeing her support slipping, begins to act in public like she is the victim. But the pattern is too clear now. We have recordings, admissions, the cafe trace, and Emily's statement. The attorney files a cease and desist and warns Evelyn that if she spreads lies publicly again, legal action will follow. Evelyn posts a long, rambling message begging for privacy that reads like a threat. Social media responds with confusion and sorrow. The community is tired of the drama. Some neighbors host small meetings to discuss how to support families going through manipulation. The movement grows gentle and wise. Mark and I are invited to speak at one meeting about boundaries. It feels strange and healing to tell our story without anger. Months pass. Evelyn is quieter, but not silent. She attends therapy sporadically and posts less. Her network dwindles. The family slowly repairs, but the scars remain. Henry and Lois apologize to Mark in small ways, calls, lunch invitations, honest conversations. The hardest part is happening inside Mark. He struggles with the idea he once trusted his mother more than his wife. We attend more therapy and find ritual ways to rebuild trust, daily check-ins, shared calendars, and open phone policies for a while. I know it sounds extreme, but it helps. Meanwhile, Kara discovers something else in the cafe's security footage, a figure planting a small USB drive into the cafe computer around the time the fake emails were sent. The figure is wearing a hat, but their hands are slender. We cross-check the footage with photos of Evelyn's friend Emily and find a match in posture and rings. We show this to Paula and add it to the file. The case becomes almost airtight. Evelyn realizes the walls are closing in and makes a final, desperate attempt to reconcile by staging a helpful act. She volunteers to host a neighborhood yard sale and invites everyone. People hesitate, but Henry insists she be allowed to try. She uses the event to make a public show of contrition. She speaks with sincere-sounding words, offering small apologies. Many accept. I watch from across the street, surprised by a small feeling of relief. Maybe people can change. But I do not relax. A surprise twist comes when Emily refuses to testify in court. She claims fear, even after the immunity deal. The attorney is frustrated. Without her live testimony, a judge might be less persuaded. We prepare for setbacks. Then a new ally emerges. Claire, the young woman from the barbecue, offers to testify about her experience with Evelyn years ago. Her voice is steady and brave. With Claire's statement and the cafe footage, the case regains strength. The final piece falls into place when I discover an email chain between Emily and Evelyn where they discuss planting evidence. The chain is dated and direct. It proves coordination. We present everything to Paula, and she files for a protective order and to stop the defamation. The legal process is cold and slow, but progress. The day of the hearing, Evelyn sits across from us with a woman who looks worn and alone. Her lawyer asks for leniency. Henry looks at her with a sorrowful face. The judge listens and reviews our packet. In the end, the court orders Evelyn to stop contacting us and to undergo court-mandated therapy for a year. The judge's words are formal, but they land like a weight lifted from our shoulders. Evelyn leaves the court with a blank look. The instant karma everyone had talked about turns out to be years of proof and hard work, justice, not quick revenge. The ruling changes our life. Evelyn is on notice and must keep distance. The family is fractured but slowly healing. Mark and I spend nights talking about small things and dreaming about future trips. We work on our marriage like gardeners, tending a fragile sapling. The community responds with kindness. Some neighbors bring dinners. A silent applause of goodwill follows us. Yet Evelyn's final move is not legal but human. She reaches out to Henry with a letter of apology that seems honest for once. Henry meets with her quietly, and they start to rebuild a new relationship where boundaries are clear. I am wary but hopeful. Meanwhile, the local paper follows up with a human interest piece about manipulation within families. It draws attention to the need for therapy over shaming. We give a careful interview about our experience and the importance of evidence if you're being gaslit. The story helps others come forward. We receive messages from people who experience similar things and thanks from those who felt validated. The healing side of revenge appears. not relish in pain, but restoration. Evelyn, faced with the consequences, begins to change in small ways. Her social posts grow scarce and kinder. She writes letters to those she hurt. Some accept, some do not. Months later, life steadies. Mark and I move forward with a new rhythm. We plant a small garden and watch it grow. We keep a private ritual. Every week we write one truth to each other about fears, joy, or gratitude and read them together. The practice helps. I notice small ways Evelyn's presence shrinks but also softens. She sends holiday cards that say she is learning. Henry watches the letters like a man relieved. The community becomes cautious about quick gossip and more curious about listening. Then one day I got a message from Emily. She says she has enrolled in a counseling program and wants to make amends publicly. She asks if she can help with a workshop on digital manipulation. I hesitate but agree. We plan a small panel at the community center that talks about truth, privacy, and manipulation. It is raw and real. Emily speaks honestly about her shame. She apologizes to me in front of strangers and asks for forgiveness. I say nothing dramatic. I accept because it helps her heal, and because revenge that keeps people trapped in pain does not feel like victory. People clap. Evelyn does not attend the event, but she hears about it. It is a small step. Life is not perfect, but it is more honest. I got a job offer at a nonprofit that helps families through conflict. I accept because I want to help others avoid what we went through. Mark is proud. We plan a short trip to the coast to breathe. The week before we leave, Evelyn appears at our door with a small wrapped box and a letter. She stands on the porch, hands shaking like a leaf. Mark opens the door slowly. Evelyn does not look like the same woman who schemed. She looks tired. I don't expect forgiveness, she says. I only want to give us back. Inside the box is a recipe book she made when Mark was little, pages stained with pancake batter and written in looping handwriting. Mark sits down on the steps and reads quietly. He remembers mornings at the table, his mother humming while he stole bites of dough. Tears fill his eyes. He thanks her, voice small. I watch them both, a mix of ache and relief washing through me. Evelyn says, I will keep away if that helps. She shifts weight, then turns to leave. Before she goes, she says softly, I am sorry. It is simple. It may not fix everything, but it is something real. We close the door with a gentleness that would have been impossible months ago. I feel light enough to pack. At the coast, salt air and slow waves do what therapy could not do in one night. They ease the tight places inside us. We walk along the beach with bare feet and talk about small things, new recipes, garden plans, friends who helped. We laugh in ways that used to be ordinary and now feel like gifts. On the third day, Mark takes my hand and tells me he is ready to invite Henry to dinner again, slowly. I feel hope like a warm light. Back home, the garden we planted shows tiny green shoots. We keep our weekly truth ritual. I write down a fear about trusting too quickly. Mark writes about forgiving his mother without forgetting. We share them slowly and listen. The nonprofit job starts, and the work fills me in a steady way, listening to others, giving practical steps, showing that proof and boundaries can save marriages and mental health. People come to me with hard stories, and I speak with care because I remember how small acts of evidence mattered. One afternoon, Emily volunteers at a community workshop and speaks honestly about pressure and shame. Claire helps too, telling her story so others can recognize patterns early. The community stones of gossip slowly turn into a small bridge of support. It is not dramatic, but it feels right. Months pass and the court order ends. Evelyn continues with therapy and keeps most of her distance. Henry and Lois visit more often, with simple cups of tea and quiet apologies. One evening, as autumn leaves fall, we host a small dinner for family and a few neighbors who stood by us. Evelyn does not come. Instead, Henry brings a small loaf of bread and sits at the head of the table, steady and gentle. We speak about boundaries, respect, and care. Mark raises his glass and toasts to honesty, not revenge. I feel my chest relax in a way I have not in a long time. After the guests leave, Mark and I sit in the living room and look at our wedding photo on the mantel. We were young and hopeful in that picture, and now we are older in small ways, wiser, tired, and still together. I think about how instant karma in my life was not a single flash of justice, but a slow turning of truth into consequence. It took recordings, witnesses, court, and time. It also took mercy, the kind that heals without erasing the hurt. I reach for Mark's hand. He squeezes mine and whispers, "We did it." I smile. The house is quiet and safe. Outside, the night holds its own small peace. If you enjoyed the story, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and tap the bell to get notified the moment we drop a new story. And don't forget to like the video to help others find it.